The story of Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, is one of the most profound and transformative journeys the human spirit has ever taken. More than 2,500 years ago, a young prince left behind unimaginable luxury, undertook an arduous quest to understand life's mysteries, and emerged enlightened, not for himself alone, but for all humankind. His teachings have endured through centuries. As he meditated, the demon Mara tried to disrupt him, conjuring terrifying visions, tempting him with power, wealth, fear, and desire. But Siddhartha remained unmoved, his mind focused and clear. Days and nights passed until, finally, it happened, a profound awakening. Siddhartha saw the truth of existence, the impermanence of all things, the cause of suffering, and the path to liberation. In that moment, he transcended suffering, achieving enlightenment. He was no longer Siddhartha Gautama. He was now the Buddha, the awakened one. The Buddha didn't keep his realization to himself, guiding millions toward peace, mindfulness, and spiritual awakening. But why does the Buddha's story matter today? In a world consumed by materialism, by the chase for permanence in things that are fleeting, his path reminds us of something utterly timeless. It speaks of the impermanence of life, the reality of suffering, and the possibility of freedom not through possessions or power, but through the mastery of the self. This video is just the beginning. Over the course of this series, we'll dive deeply into the major milestones of the Buddha's life. From the innocence of his youthful days to his transformative enlightenment, from the first sermon he delivered to his followers to the poignant final moments of his life. Welcome to the life story of the Buddha. It happened in a small kingdom in ancient India, in the city of Kapilavastu. There, Queen Maya, the wife of King Suddhodana, had a dream. In her dream, a radiant white elephant descended from the skies, carrying a lotus flower. It circled her 3 times before entering her side. When she awoke, it was clear the dream was divine. Her child would be no ordinary child. Soon after, Siddhartha Gautama, in time the Buddha, was born under the shade of the sal trees in Lumbini. Legend tells us he emerged from his mother's womb not crying, as children often do, but calm and serene. He took 7 very deliberate steps, and as his tiny feet touched the earth, he declared, "This is my last birth." King Suddhodana rejoiced. He asked the kingdom's holy men to foretell his son's future, and their prophecy was extraordinary. Siddhartha would become either a great king who ruled the world or a wandering teacher who would save it. Determined to ensure his son would follow the former path, the king created a life of unimaginable luxury for the boy. Siddhartha grew up behind palace walls, surrounded by opulence and beauty, shielded from the harshness of the outside world. Yet, in the splendor of Kapilavastu, Siddhartha's heart was restless. Something inside him whispered that life was not how it seemed within palace grounds. The story goes that on a series of excursions beyond the palace, he saw things he had never been allowed to see before. First, he saw an old man, frail and hunched, his body weakened by age. "Why is he bent and unable to walk?" Siddhartha asked his charioteer. The answer was simple. Everyone becomes old. No one can escape it. Next, he saw a sick person, their face contorted in pain, their body racked with suffering. "Can that happen to anyone?" Siddhartha questioned, his voice trembling. "Yes," the charioteer said, "illness can strike anyone at any time." The third sight was even more disturbing, a corpse carried to its funeral, lifeless, its family grieving. "Is this what happens to us all?" Siddhartha asked. "Yes," he was told, "death claims all living beings." Finally, he saw something different. A wandering monk, dressed in simple robes, walking with an air of calm and purpose. Here was someone who seemed untroubled by old age, sickness, or death. Siddhartha's heart swelled with curiosity and a strange spark of hope. Those 4 sights haunted him. Here he was, living a life of wealth and comfort, but outside the palace walls, the reality was stark. Suffering, impermanence, and death awaited everyone. Siddhartha couldn't ignore what he had seen, nor could he reconcile the life he had been given with the suffering of the world. And so, one fateful night, he made a decision that would forever change history. He would renounce his princely life in search of the ultimate truth. Quietly, Siddhartha bid an emotional farewell to his wife Yasodhara and his baby son Rahula. He was torn, his love for them pulling at his heart, but the pull of his calling was stronger. With no second thoughts, he slipped out of the palace under the cover of darkness, trading his fine robes for a beggar's clothes. Siddhartha renounced his name, his wealth, his status, everything, and stepped onto the path of a wandering ascetic. For 6 years, Siddhartha's search for enlightenment consumed him. He sought wisdom from sages and holy men, learning their methods of meditation, asceticism, and self-denial. He endured unfathomable hardships, starving himself nearly to death, sleeping in forests, exposing his body to the elements. Yet nothing brought him closer to the answers he sought. At last, Siddhartha realized that neither wealth nor extreme asceticism could lead to truth. Balance, the middle way, was the only path. One day, Siddhartha sat beneath the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, vowing not to rise until he discovered the truth. As he meditated, the demon Mara tried to disrupt him, conjuring terrifying visions, tempting him with power, wealth, fear, and desire. But Siddhartha remained unmoved, his mind focused and clear. Days and nights passed until finally it happened, a profound awakening. Siddhartha saw the truth of existence, the impermanence of all things, the cause of suffering, and the path to liberation. In that moment, he transcended suffering, achieving enlightenment. He was no longer Siddhartha Gautama. He was now the Buddha, the awakened one. The Buddha didn't keep his realization to himself. His first act was to share the truth with others. At Sarnath, he delivered his first sermon, explaining the Four Noble Truths: that life involves suffering, that suffering has a cause, that it can be overcome, and that the Eightfold Path leads to its cessation. With each word, he turned the wheel of Dharma, setting into motion a legacy of wisdom that would ripple across generations. From there, the Buddha traversed the lands, teaching his insights to all who would listen. He built a sangha, a community of monks and nuns, dedicated to practicing and sharing his teachings. His message of compassion, mindfulness, and liberation spread far and wide, changing lives and reshaping societies. Even as the Buddha neared the end of his life, his mind remained serene. At the age of 80, under the shade of the sala trees, he passed into parinirvana, the final release, free from suffering and rebirth. His physical presence may have ended, but his teachings became timeless, guiding humanity toward a more awakened existence. The story of the Buddha is more than history, it's a mirror for our own lives. His teachings challenge us to wake up, to see the impermanence of the world, to confront the reality of suffering, and ultimately, to strive for peace within ourselves. Join us for the next chapter in this series as we explore the deeper philosophies of his teachings and how they continue to resonate in our modern world. The Buddha's story is your story. It's all of our story. The only question is, are you ready to awaken?